When you start unpacking the trauma of narcissism, there is always a root question. Why are they treating me like this? Why are they so disrespectful, dismissive, cold, distant? Why do they not see me for me? Can't they see that I love them? Well, a narcissist will never ever see the love that you have given them. They will never see the love that is in you. They will never see that you show up in every way possible for them that is loving and nurturing, kind, compassionate, honest, decent, respectful. As much as we look to psychology, I'd like us to look deep into the Bible for the root answer. Now, as much as we can blame the parental guidance for the cause of why a narcissist becomes a narcissist, parental guidance only enhances what is already there. The truth behind the question of why a person does what they do goes far deeper than not having that innate nature, that governing boundary within themselves that does not permit them to become cold and callous against another human being. That governing boundary line is empathy. Now, the Bible does not mention narcissism, but we are given a clue as to where it comes from and how it develops. Now, I have shared with you in the book of Genesis a direct link to Adam and Eve and the enemy and how it's all relative to narcissism, as God put a curse on the enemy's children and Eve's children. And that curse was that the enemy's children will be an enemy to God's children. So light and darkness will always be against each other. What this is saying is, yes, in life it's us against them. It's war. Battle on, baby. It's the apathetic against the empathetic. And that's just the way it is. In this video, I want us to explore the depths of narcissism from a not so obvious foundation through the eyes of creation. I share this foundation in my book entitled The Blood Covenant of Elohim, as I discuss the importance of our blood and the blood of our Savior Jesus Christ, as God has a blood covenant with us through the creation of Adam and Eve and also through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. And blood covenants are binding contracts as far as God is concerned, and so too the one we have unknowingly with the enemy that took place through the transgressions of Adam and Eve. So I will post a link to the PDF copy of my book, The Blood Covenant of Elohim, and you can read the details of this blood covenant that actually describes what is going on today. As this book will describe and share with you exactly what is going on in multiple groups and communities of the world today that are trying to shove their agenda and make us complicit and compliant to their ways that are against creation. There is a dual nature inside of us, and we come to the earth to experience both of these natures, the good and bad natures, so that we can make one single and final choice of who we want to eternally serve in the spiritual afterlife through the way we choose and want to live on earth today. Narcissists, well, they've made their choice, haven't they? And we who have been traumatized by them are kind of still in limbo a little bit. And it is through inner healing, by reaching down into ourselves and seeing the core of our beings as we dive deep into our souls and uproot the bad and recognize the good. The battle outside of ourselves with the narcissist actually exposes the battle that we have going on inside of ourselves. We, my dears, we have a choice to make. We can choose peace, love, and light by uprooting the emotional pain exposed by the darkness, created by the darkness, as this is what exposes the love, light, and peace at the end of that long, dark tunnel within that we cannot yet see. It takes time, but we're getting there. Now, in a video entitled "What Women Don't Get About Men They Love Today" by Rabbi Fieldman, he addresses the issue men have, not with women, but with themselves. And this issue goes right back to the day of human creation, and it's relevant for our topic of narcissism today. Men and women were created differently. We know this, as it's obvious. And I do talk a lot about the way Eve was created in my book entitled The Blood Covenant of Elohim. This is an important understanding, as the blood covenant binds men and women together in unity through sexuality. Same-sex coupling goes against the blood covenant of God and creates another contract with the other blood covenant that was created, and that is in us, as this was created in the Garden of God in the beginning in Genesis, when Adam and Eve disobeyed God through the transgressions and the leadership and the coercion, the trickery from the enemy. Now, that topic is for another day, but this is all relative and it all segues. For now, in this video, I just want to share with you the creation story, as it is a wonderful Bible study with many, many different directions to learn from. Rabbi Fieldman makes some exceptional points that I'd like to share with you and expand on today. Now, God mentions the creation of Adam and Eve for a reason. He tells us the order in which they were created and how. Adam was created first, and he was created from the earth. Eve was created second and created from Adam. Do you see something kind of odd with this picture? Well, this detail of how Adam and Eve were created, this is kind of what makes men and women today so different from one another in our humanity. See, men and women both express the same emotions, however, we express them differently. And why is that? Why is it that men and women are so combative and we can't seem to get along? And well, it's through the story of creation that we can understand some reasons why we struggle to relate with our emotions, but with the emotions of the opposite sex. It's because we're not created equal, and I'm not talking about the obvious. We know that Adam was created first and Eve was created second. But how they were created makes all the difference and helps us to understand narcissism to its spiritual roots. See, Adam's body was created from the dust of the ground. Eve's body was not. She was not created that way. She was created from Adam's rib. Adam was created in two parts. First, his body was formed from the dust of the earth, and then God breathed the breath of life into Adam's nostrils, which created a human being, a live, sentient, methodical thinking individual. Eve was created from one single rib. She was created from a human. Now, when God created Eve, Adam was already a living being. Now, although these two people were tied to the earth, the dust of the earth, through this creation story, we are shown that Adam and Eve were not created equally. Adam was created firstly from a foundation that was dirt or dust, something that was not living. Eve, however, was created from someone who was living. Now, this has a toll on our humanity, our psychological inner beings, because where we humanly come from, as according to Rabbi Fieldman, where we come from, this is important to address, because the origins of mankind, the world has always widely disputed. We have always wanted to know our origins, where we originated from. Do we originate from outer planets, or do we originate from monkeys? What gives? What's going on? Our origins are actually deeply rooted in our spiritual bodies, our hearts and minds and our soul that knows the truth, but we're not consciously aware of this truth. There exists a deep-rooted memory within all of us, and this memory is attached to the origins of mankind through the creation story. Deep within a man's soul, he knows where he comes from, and his beliefs and thoughts are formed around this deep-seated knowing. A woman, soulfully, she knows where she comes from, and her beliefs and thoughts are formed around this deep-seated knowing. Even though our origins are different, they're similar, but they're not the same. The origins of Adam and the origins of Eve are different. Therefore, making the origins of men and the origins of women different. And we are bound together in spiritual harmony through the love that came to bring life to Adam's body through the breath of life of God, our Father, our Creator in heaven. We all carry the image of God in us. Now, this deep-seated knowing that Rabbi Fieldman addresses in the male psyche and the female psyches, he shares with us that men came from a foundation of nothing. Dirt is nothing. Now, women have a deep-seated knowing that she didn't come from nothing. Eve did not come from nothing. She came from something. So, in this video, Rabbi Fieldman suggests that this is the reason why men have a deep-seated innate fear of becoming nothing. If a man is treated in a dismissive way and treated as if he doesn't matter, and he's treated as if he doesn't belong, and he is treated as if he's a nobody, he will feel it and believe it, because this confirms the deep-seated knowing rooted deep within his very fiber of his physical being where he came from. He came from dust, dirt, which is nothing. Therefore, he will be convinced that he is nothing. It is our God, our Father in heaven, who makes us, who makes men and women something. God makes us whole. Now, without God, men are dearly struggling. There are men who struggle in the Lord too, yes, but they have found their identity in Christ. Men by nature, according to the rabbi, men have fragile egos. Men can become emasculated by a woman very quickly. Her words cut him to the core of his being. Now, a man likes to do things for a woman, and a man likes to feel like he's needed, and a man needs purpose in his life. And without God, there is no purpose in a man's life. Without God, a man is just spinning his wheels. And a man without God becomes self-reliant. And he relies on the earth, the things of the flesh, to make him whole, make him feel important, to make him feel alive, to make him feel like he is something rather than nothing. And I want to be very delicate here, but the Bible describes this through the sins of human nature. When you read the Ten Commandments, you will see the nothingness nature, the obscure nature that sin belongs to. When you feed the flesh, you're feeding the earthly desire of trying to find out where you belong, and you corrupt your body, you corrupt the sanctity of marriage and companionship. You corrupt your own bodies with habits and addictions. Now, women do not understand the needs of a man's soul because she cannot relate to him, as her inner being knows that she came from someone living. She knows she carries value. She knows that her value, even though it's lesser or greater, it still carries weight. It's not nothing. A woman's value is never empty. So if a woman is treated as if she's nothing, she's not going to be convinced. She's going to try and convince the guy and try to convince him all the good things and share all the good things about her that the guy's missing. Because deep down in her inner core, she knows she's worthy. She knows she's valuable. And even when a woman is trauma bound to her abuser, he or she will try to convince that woman that she is nothing, that it's all her fault, but her soul knows different and fights against the lies and the coercion and the abusive ways of her abuser. I can tell you myself with firsthand example that when I'm treated as if I'm nothing by a man, I'm asking the questions of what's going on. What's up with that? You don't value me? Who are you talking to? Who else has your attention? When a man is treated as if he is nothing by an abusive man, she only confirms his suspicions about himself. Now, being treated as if you were nothing, according to Rabbi Fieldman, he says it's a total annihilation against a man's psyche, as it's more than an insult. Men are extremely sensitive to criticism, and putting a man down only destroys him. Now, God tells us to build each other up and not to tear each other down. So, do you think Rabbi Fieldman is right about this assessment about men? I think so. He further states that men overcompensate in order to suppress this innate fear that they have about themselves. How do they overcompensate? By showing macho and bravado, Machiavellianism and narcissism. He also says that it doesn't matter how many times or how many compliments a woman gives to a man, it will never undo this created condition. Now, we can test this theory to prove that it's true by seeing how sensitive men are when they are criticized and how positively they respond to compliments. So what does this have to do with narcissism? When a male is being reared up, it is important for them to receive positive reinforcement. When a child is devalued and left on their own, they feel rejected, and this just further reinforces this innate belief that is the foundation of their being, that they are not good enough, that they don't matter, that they are obscure, and this helps to form and solidify narcissistic tendencies in men. So what do you think? Do you think that Rabbi Fieldman is right on this? Comment down below. I personally believe that he is right for the fact that now we can understand that when Eve betrayed Adam through obeying the serpent's lies, through the serpent's trickery, and I'm not talking about a snake, I'm talking about the sly ways of a snake in the grass. The cherub was a snake in the grass in character. And through trickery and deceit, we can understand now that there is a natural tendency within Adam that transcends to every man that is somewhat resentful towards women. Because of Eve's actions, she probably made Adam feel inferior, and he felt unloved. And because of the fall, now we are all struggling as the human race is pitted against each other. We're not just fighting our enemy's children, we're also fighting God's children against God's children. We got to figure out how to get along with people who are our spiritual family, and leave those who are not our spiritual family the heck alone. So I hope this video has helped you to understand a little bit more about what makes men and women tick from a biblical standpoint, and how we can learn to help each other grow and nurture and foster positive relationships in our healing, as coming out of narcissistic abuse and troubling and abusive relationships, we're going to need people to trust, because we have learned to trust the wrong people, because the people that have coerced us and tricked us into trusting them lured us in through deceit and lies. And so it's important for us to understand and have a foundation of godly understanding. It's important for us to have a foundation of godly understanding so that we can meet together and work out the details of our healing together and spread peace, love, and light. Go make your day great. Mwah.